welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason on this Tuesday. And I got to tell you, we've got a rally on our hands as the inflation number came in just like I told you. I told you yesterday. Get in here. You got to be smart when these things happen. The CPI number, yes, the number that pretends to track inflation came out this morning. And, man, I'll tell you this. You would think that it was a huge miss to the downside. In other words, the number came in lower than expected. So that's a good thing, right? They're saying, hey, guess what, guys? The amount of money you have to spend every month, it's still increasing, but it's just increasing less. And I was like, and I expected it. Remember, I warned you yesterday, told you yesterday. By the way, I'm going to tell you again today. Wake up! If you're looking at making a major purchase in precious metals, do it. Do it. This is going to be, remember when gold was still below 2,000? Remember when silver was below 35? Yeah, you heard me, 35, not 20, 35. This is the time, 800-951-0592, the website, allamericangold.com. Now, gold's up 20, silver, man. Silver's up almost $1, well, 80-some-odd cents. Silver bumping up on $23.25. Silver's up $1.50 in less than 48 hours. Gold not too shabby, right? Gold's up $40. The Dow's up 500. Jason, this had to be a massive miss. I mean, inflation must have just disappeared. It had to go away. Well, almost. According to the number, the headline consumer price index increased 3.2% year over year. Now, I guess that's not two, but I guess that's okay. That's pretty good. Now, what was the big beat here? Because remember yesterday, I told you yesterday, hey, inflation's going to go lower. Did I have access to the data? Did Jay Powell call me up? Did the Bureau of Labor Statistics reach out to Double J and say, hey, Double J, guess what? Here's the number. No. Because it's all seasonally adjusted. And, of course, gas prices came down. But it beat the number, I'm not kidding you, by 1/10. Now, you would think it had beaten the number by a whole percent or something by the reaction of a tenth. They were expecting it to be 3.3. The core number. Now, this is the number that they up until, a year and a half ago, this was the number they cared about. When they were talking about their make-believe 2% inflation number, they were talking about the core CPI. What was the core CPI? 4%. By the way, that was also a miss. Again, by a whopping 0.1%. So, Jason, based on today's number, inflation is dead. No more rate hikes. Everybody get ready for the recession. And, by the way, inflation is now 100%. It's double what they told us. But you know what? Inflation 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. It's been higher and hotter than what they've been telling us. But it's okay because, let's face it, it's not 8% anymore. It's only 4%.
Yeah, it's all about recalculating the numbers, right, Joe? They had this inflation problem in the 70s and early 80s, and I think they started figuring out, somewhere in the future we're going to have to mandate inflation, 2%. I think they knew this even decades ahead. We're going to have to get these people used to normal inflation. And, hey, if we lose control of this thing, we don't want it to say 8 or 12 or 16. We want it to say 2, 4, and 8. You know, we want these numbers to be way lower looking. Anyone can handle 8%, but 16%, that doesn't sound so good. So let's just, that's the whole thing about numbers, Joe. You come on the show with numbers every single day, but who's calculating it? How is it calculated? There's so many ways to just skew the number in whatever direction you want it to go. So all we can do is go off the numbers they give us and try to read the tea leaves, so to speak, because for the most part, Joe, most of these numbers are just false on some level, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how you seasonally adjust inflation, but apparently they do. And again, you got to remember. Listen, here's who we have running this thing. We've got academics, right? Janet Yellen. Right? She never worked a real job. She was a real good student. Matter of fact, dare I say, a legendary student at Yale. Right? We know people like that, don't we? We all know people like that. Yeah, man, gosh, they're really smart. So smart. Right? They can memorize stuff and regurgitate it. But they don't have any common sense at all. These people sat in rooms. Right? Ben Bernanke, Alan Greenspan, Jay Powell. They sat in rooms and came up with, and you think I'm kidding, this is true. They came up with academic ways to convince themselves, well, we don't have to actually track inflation. We can just pretend. And we'll come up with all these economic reasons and theories of why it is. We all know, look, here's the rule of thumb. If they admit to 4%, double it, right? 8% is probably the number. Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason. We're going to be back after the break. (800-951-0592). Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour on this Tuesday. Inflation Tuesday, or lack thereof. Yes. Wow. I shouldn't say never, but it always is fun when it beats it by, a whole whopping 1/10 that they want to claim victory. But here's what victory looks like. Dow's up 500 points. Yeah. The S&P's up 90. The NASDAQ's up 300. Crude oil's up $1. Gold's up 20. Silver's up 85. The dollar is getting taken to the woodshed. Crypto is down. The bond market, 4.45 on a 10-year note because inflation is getting lower. At least, by the way, they track it. If you're like, yeah, okay. I don't know about you, but I've been talking to a bunch of my buddies. Things have definitely slowed again. So maybe inflation is cooling, right? Maybe it is on certain things. But if you're like, you know what? Yeah, I kind of got a good idea of what's coming here. These guys, right? These are the same guys that told us inflation was transitory in 2020. Same guys. Same guys and gals, because be politically correct here, that told us that they could reduce their balance sheet when it was $4.5 trillion. The same people that tell us, yeah, okay, I know all the rating agencies are downgrading our debt, but don't worry, it's fine. How about today? The House, the newly elected Speaker Johnson, says that they're going to be able to pass where they're not going to cut anything. Nothing. And he's going to get the Democrats to help him because there's at least 8 Republicans that are like, okay, this is kind of dumb. Remember when they used to talk about, we can't do this to our kids and grandkids? Can't do it. No, it's wrong. Balance the budget. Nope. It looks like, we got till Friday, but it looks like they're going to do, and again, it's just another kick the can down the road, right? We're going to go to April, or we're going to go to January, February, with no cuts. Just let's just keep spending the same. They got to remember, keeping spending the same. Oh, by the way, Israel doesn't count. Ukraine doesn't count. Any other pork projects we want to throw in there, those don't count. But we're going to keep the spending the same. Tax revenues keep falling.
Yep.
Now, we ran a $2 trillion budget deficit. I don't know. They only say 1.7. Okay. Unfortunately, the what I'll call the journal adjustment trick that they used, that doesn't apply this year. There is no trick to do. But somehow it's going to be okay. Don't worry. Yeah, somehow inflation's going to go down. If we just keep spending money, inflation goes down. I mean, right? We learned that, right? Remember Joe Biden, his Inflation Reduction Act. Hey, you pass this bill, and inflation will go down. I'm sure today he'll come out and say, "See, my Inflation Reduction Act worked." It's not how it works, folks. This is why we keep telling you, get diversified. Listen, if you got your money in Wall Street, you need to have it with Joey, period. Period. Why? Not because he's my son, because he works for the best company out there. They're not a bank. They're not publicly traded. They didn't need a bailout, which that's amazing in itself. But then what about why refi? Up to 10.25% return, you don't want that? I mean, gold's up like 13, 14% this year, but, 10.25, that's nothing to sneeze at. And guess what? Here's the best part. It's not correlated to Wall Street. I don't know what's going to happen. Jason doesn't know. I mean, they could come out with any number. We don't know what the number's going to be. Wait till I tell you what UBS said. You're not going to, I don't even believe it. We got to have a minimum of $50,000. Right? I know, okay, that rules some people out. I get that. You can use an existing IRA. Someone can use a 401k. You can do whatever you want with your 10.25% every month. Right? Your interest that you collect monthly, 10.25 for the year. You can turn your income on and use it as income. You can just compound it, leave it in there. You can turn it on some months, off other months. There are no fees. If you need your money back, it's not like, these other places where they, oh, wait, you want your money back early. Here's $1 million of fees now. No fees. No fees. No attack on principle. Check them out. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com. Or just call them. 888-Y-REFI-24. Having said all that, Jason, here's where inflation, here's how they broke it down. Food up 3.3% according to them. Now, here's what's interesting. Food away from home up 5.4%. Food from vending machines. I don't even know why that would even be in there. I mean, food from, why are you talking food from vending machines? But they do say mobile vendors, so maybe the food truck guy, right? Up 15%. Food at employee sites in schools. Uh-oh. Yeah, 5.4%. Yeah. I don't mean to laugh. But, do the math, right? This is why things are running out of control. Alcoholic beverages away from home, 5.3%. Then they said food at home, only up 2.1%. That's it. I want to know where these guys shop. Show me where you guys shop that you're telling me you went to the supermarket, bought the exact same things last year as you did this year, and it only cost you 2% more? Hey, guess what, Jason? A monkey just flew right out of my ass right now. It just happened. I know you didn't see it, but it happened. Take my word for it.
The funny thing is, because these numbers are lower than the previous couple of years, everyone's getting excited in the markets. 3.2 is the year-over-year number. But if you look just before, it was 3% or above for decades maybe. You don't see 3% anywhere, at least from 2012 to 2021. I haven't looked at the numbers before 2012. There was no 3%. So they are cheering something that's still almost twice as high as it normally is. A 1.6 was a normal number in the past
that
decades.
was a normal number, yes.
That's
Remember, they were upset for a lot of years, right? We just can't get to 2% inflation. I mean, we're at 0 and it won't do it.
Well, we got double the inflation of a normal number. So I don't know what the partying is about. And Joe and I talk before the show most days. I see, the inflation is going to come down. I think the Fed may need to lower the rates because the recession/depression is going to start. And then the inflation is going to come back, and it's going to come back in such a horrible way. And then what will the Fed do then, Joe? And how high will the interest rates have to go middle or late next year to jump back on this inflation?
There's a big debate raging. How about this? Frozen vegetables up 10.7. Uncooked beef steaks up 10.6. Sugar up 8.8. Baby food and formula up 8.3. Sauces and gravy, I just laughed at some of these categories, up 7.8. Uncooked poultry, including turkey, up 7.2. White bread, up 7.1. Biscuits, muffins, rolls, up 5.7. Spices, up 5.6. But it only went up 2%. I don't know how that math works, but hey, what does it matter? Admission to sporting events up 25%. How about this one? See, these are the ones that really hurt. Motor vehicle insurance up 20%. See, here's the problem with motor vehicle insurance. You got to pay the damn thing every single month, don't you? Every month, right? It's not like you can say, well, you know what, this month, motor vehicle insurance is too expensive this month. I think I just won't pay it. I'll buy some other insurance. I mean, it won't cover the car, but, I'll buy a different insurance that's less. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. How about non-prescription drugs up 8%? Motor vehicle repairs up 15%. Rent on primary residence. Ooh, another one. Oh, yeah. How often do you pay rent? Mortgages, right? Do you get to, decide, well, I'm just not going to pay it this month. I want to pay less. Nope. Up 7.2%. The list goes on and on and on. But don't worry. The stuff that they don't care about, I'm sure TVs got cheaper, Jason.
Well, that's the point. They could say overall inflation's down if people are buying or stop buying certain items that are not necessary. They really should have an honest way of calculating necessary items, which is energy, rent or mortgage, and food. I mean, they should just have that simple number done. I guess, Joe, you know what? Maybe I'll just figure it out myself. I'll pick specific items that I buy at my local grocery store, and I'll just look at it myself because it's pretty easy to compute. You just add the numbers up, and then you compare them to the new set of numbers. It's not that hard. It really isn't. And for them to be messing with the numbers for good headline numbers, it just shows you how many Americans are really bad at math or won't even want to think about math.
Yeah, well, it's too big of a headache. But how about this? So get ready. So now you got to remember now. Rate hikes are done. I agree. They haven't admitted it. I don't think inflation's done. But I believe, you're just asking me, I believe rate hikes are done. Not because, and it has nothing to do with inflation, it has to do with the banks. But UBS today says that the Federal Reserve is going to cut interest rates by as much as 275 basis points in 2024 alone. Okay, so that's almost 3%. So think about what UBS just said. We expect the Fed to cut rates in half in 2024. If the Fed cuts at all, we'll have new all-time highs in gold. If they cut where UBS says they're going to cut, $3,000 gold probably. This is why I said today's a great day to be in the gold and silver markets. Their outlook for 2024 through 2026, almost 4 times the market consensus. But UBS says the world's largest economy is getting ready to go into recession. They're saying that they suggest that fewer of the supports for growth that enable 2023 to overcome the obstacle of Fed rate hikes will not continue into 2024. They said disinflation and rising unemployment to weakened economic output. And they're saying, Jason, I mean, really it is, right? I think this is kind of the question. Everybody on Wall Street, and I mean everybody, they actually expect the Fed to cut rates. Now, some of them want to say that we're not going to go into recession. Believe me, if the Fed is cutting rates, we're going to be in a recession, and probably a much bigger recession than people think. But this one, what is UBS seeing that the rest of them either they're not seeing or don't want to admit to yet? I think that's probably the most interesting part of what they had to say. That's coming up next. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour. Unfortunately, I feel that we're going to get a lot more of what we're getting from UBS today. I think you're going to see a lot more. Jamie Dimon comes to mind. Now, Jamie Dimon still thinks interest rates, and he's right. Nobody should be celebrating a fake 4% core CPI. Nobody. Yeah, I guess it's better than last year's core CPI. Here's the problem. If you take the last 3 years' core CPIs and add them together, right? I mean, you're at 20+%, and we know that number's a lie. But UBS says 2024, things start to get probably, Jason, I would say more normal? Because by now, 2023 was kind of an anomaly, wasn't it? Because everybody was like, man, we're probably going to get into a recession at some point. The economy's going to slow down. I mean, look, remember that one GDP number we had? What was it, like 4.9% in the third quarter, right? Now, we're not going to get that in the fourth quarter. No, we're close, but still, we're going to have GDP growth, in the high 2s, close to 3% for 2023. But UBS says, yeah, that's all over now. The expansion has, getting ready to come to an end. And according to our estimates, spending in the economy looks elevated relative to income. Okay, so that's an important one. Now, we haven't gotten retail sales yet. We'll get them later this week. But the preview number from Visa MasterCard looks like consumer spending came to a stop in October. Now, we got the holidays coming up. We'll see. Right now, by the way, you're a holiday shopper. I'd wait till the end this year. I think, it's just my opinion. I could be wrong. The last couple of weeks before Christmas, I think they're going to start giving stuff away. That's just what I think. But UBS is saying, listen, the consumer, enough of the consumer, not all of them, but enough of them now. Probably the bottom 70% of consumers are out of money. And the 4% increase in core CPI, that's not good news for them. Like everything went up another 4%. I don't have another 4%. Right? I'm out. I got nothing. I got to cut back. They said that upward pressure on growth from fiscal stimulus. right? That's the Inflation Reduction Act, right? One of those, right? Listen, there's not going to be a lot of extra spending. We'll get some war spending, but we're not going to be getting a lot of extra spending. I will tell you right now, city and state budgets are in shambles right now. They truly are. Even in Phoenix, it's boom down. Nope. Out of money. Got to cut the spending.
Yeah.
Right?
Joe, I could tell you why. I was looking at last night at the local news, and this recession's coming, but it's not here yet. And I was looking at the news, Joe, and it's like I don't think there's any money left. I think everyone's tapped out, like you said, Joe. But they're making their debt payments. They're expecting this to be the biggest travel Thanksgiving holiday ever, car and plane. And I look at the debt, record high student debt, record high car debt, record high debt of almost every kind. So what that tells me, Joe, is everybody is making their debt payments. That's what all they're able to do. You can't have credit at the all-time record highs unless someone's paying it, right? So I think they've jacked everybody's debt allowances up as high as they possibly can. And this thing's, when it stops, Joe, it's going to stop with a big thud. Really, really bad, too, Joe. Really bad. And so, okay, we don't have a recession yet. Like you said, 4.9 GDP and maybe 2.5 this next quarter. When this thing hits hard, it's going to hit hard. It's going to hit fast. And when it comes to buying gold and silver, you're just going to be out of luck with these prices because it's going to move from very, very slowly, which has been doing, to very, very rapid, Joe. It's these debt payments, they're already having all the defaults coming.
All the plus sides for gold, right, which is
it
looks like we're done with rate hikes. I know that some people are holding, well, maybe we'll get one more, but we're pretty much done, right? We're pretty much done, right? Credit card debt. We already know the subprimes are struggling now, right? On their auto payments, they're struggling on their credit card payments. Credit card debt's at all-time record highs, right? We've got all everything's in it's going to get worse direction. That's why you buy now, right? Now, listen to UBS. I don't know that I agree that it's going to go that low. Let me tell you right now, I want you to say this right now. They could absolutely be spot on. But that'll mean it's really bad. I'm hoping it's not. But they did say this. If the economy doesn't slow substantially, and this is the question, everybody agrees the economy's slowing. It's all about pace. If it doesn't slow substantially, the Fed has no hope to restoring price stability. Amen to that. That is truth like you would not believe. I've been saying this for 3 years. Inflation doesn't go away till everybody's out of work. In our view, the private sector is less insulated than they've been in the previous years. Just what Jason and I talked about. They're either, I just got enough. I can make the minimum payment on the credit card. I can't pay it off. Right? I can make this payment. Maybe I can't make the car payment, but I'm trying to hold it together. Looking ahead, we expect substantially slower growth, rising unemployment, and meaningful reductions in the Fed funds rate. So what are they talking about growth? How bad? Well, they've got it at 0.3%. That's pretty bad. If you're going to go from 3% to 0.3%, not very good. And the unemployment rate, this was the one that caught my eye. They think the unemployment rate, Jason, is going to be 5% or more in 2024. Yeah.
That's big.
That's a big, big number. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 1-800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour. Gold's up 20, 1970. Silver's up 85 cents, 23.20. Yesterday, man, cases of Silver Eagles, 14,250 yesterday. Isn't there 15,000 today? And that's a deal. That's a deal. I mean, really, silver is up like $1.50 from when I set that special yesterday. Silver was below $22 yesterday morning to where it is today. Cases of Silver Eagles at 15,000. Still a great opportunity there. On the gold side, you guys, and I know you guys are like, hey, I want the cheapest price. What can you do for me? $20 gold pieces today. 1 through 9 at $21.65. 10 or more. Just 10. Not going to 10 or more. $2,150 at 800-951-0592. And Jason, we're essentially saying, hey, take today, take yesterday. Gold's moved like $40. We're almost pretending with that price. You buy 10 or more, we're pretending that gold is still at 1930 versus 1970. That's how good of a deal it is.
Yeah, Joe, and man, how many times are we going to say it? This period where you can buy gold and silver at this place is going to come to an end. It's we've had quite a few people take advantage of it in the last bunch of months, Joe. As we've kind of gold's gone up, it goes down, but the premiums have gone up, the premiums have gone down, but it's kind of been in a sweet spot for a while, and it's just begging to be bought for those that are listening, for those that are got their ears to the rail, so to speak, waiting for that train to come. And if you got money sitting there, and we know we got some clients out there, I think they're waiting for something, Joe, that think, well, maybe it'll drop some more. It's like, well, we have the COVID record now. Yeah, maybe gold goes down $100 an ounce in the next 6 months. And then the premiums come up $100 an ounce, and you've done nothing but prolong and inflate your cash down a little bit more. Just
premium,
jump
I'll say
in.
This. I'm glad you brought up it. Yeah, we don't talk about it enough. This is the lowest gold premium going back in the last 3.5 years. So Jason's right. I think we saw the new high bottom. I said it yesterday. That's kind of just where we're at. But the premiums being way down here, it's actually really like buying gold at $1,800. I mean, that's really what it's like. So you've got multiple factors in this. You got to remember, now UBS, they're the extreme for right now. But think about what everybody else is saying. Here's some facts. The economy's slowing. Fact. Consumer credit at all-time record highs. That's fact. Subprime auto delinquencies now the highest on record. Those are facts. The amount of disposable, not for everybody, but probably the bottom 70% now, there are either A, already beyond their means, or, man, I just don't have any more, I'm out of disposable income. Right? And this is why everyone's like, okay, yep, they're going to slow down. The question is, how slow does it get? And does the Fed actually decide that even with inflation way above, because let's face it, 4% is way above, do they cut rates anyway? And how high does the unemployment rate get? I think that's going to be, UBS says 5.2%. If we get above 5, I will tell you right now, that will be a chain reaction that's very, very hard to stop, right? Because, you don't get to magically say, okay, well, that's enough job losses. Let's stop that now. Doesn't work that way. It's going to be, Jason, I think, again, the question for gold is going to be how much stimulus are we going to get? We already know we're going to get it. And what I mean by stimulus is slower economy, higher unemployment rate, right? Less people working, less people being able to pay their bills, right? And of course, tax receipts declining. The Congress looks like they've got no interest in reining in spending. How can it be? How can we spend just as much as we did during COVID when COVID's over? But that's what they decided. This is the morons we keep putting up there in Congress. We can't do it. Look at what the rate. Listen, it's just a matter of time before S&P, they put us on credit watch before they're going to downgrade it. And they should. It's unpayable. And again, I think that we're kind of living in that delusion that, 2023, it didn't really, it didn't happen. Look at all the excess money they printed. And besides, I'm going to keep going back to it. That reverse repo, that's out of money very early into 2024. Is it January, February? Let's just call it first quarter 2024. It's out of money. Then what happened? 800-951-0592. Jason and I wrapping it up. Final segment coming up next. $800-951-0592. $20 gold. The Liberties, the St. Gaudens, pre-1933. You know why. It's the most private way to own it. Man, privacy, that's hard. By the way, join us for the half-empty cup. I know we've got Virginia Farver on. She's fantastic. But get ready. Yep. Microsoft and Google, they're going to make sure that they do a better job making sure what information you get to read and don't read. So tune in for that on the half-empty cup. But privacy, almost a thing of the past, isn't it? But $20 gold, 1 through 9, $2,165. Gold's $1,970. That's not even $200 there. But wait, you buy 10 or more down to $2,150. The closest to spot in $20 gold in multiple years. Because once COVID happened, right, premiums just went crazy, right? I mean, we had, $1,700 gold, and you were paying $2,150, for 20. So take advantage of this, put them away, keep stacking them, make sure you have that savings built up, have it where only you know where it is, and Jason, being able to buy, sell, and trade it and not have to give out your Social Security number, not have to worry about 1099s. It's a really, really nice feeling. And being able to buy it at this low of a premium, even better. 1 through 9, $2,165. 10 or more, $2,150 at 800-951-0592. And again, it looks like, anyway, that all the excess liquidity is finally gotten to this point now where people are like, okay, the slowdown that should have happened, you go from 0 to 5.5%, it's probably going to be happening in 2024.
Yeah, it's going to be happening. It's going to be happening. You're going to see some remarkable things in 2024, just in time for the presidential election. We got wars going on. Lots of fingers to. You know what I keep hearing, Joe? What you keep hearing? Well, the inflation that started because of COVID. Was that going to be it forever and ever? It's the inflation that happened because of COVID. Here we are 3 years later, and they're still blaming COVID for everything. I remember back in 2020, if you stubbed your foot, it was COVID's fault. And if they've got their cover story, Joe, they got lots of cover stories for what's about to happen. What you need to do out there listening is you need to buy gold and silver. You need to get your financial house in order for what's going to happen, because it's not COVID's fault. It's our federal government with this central private bank that enriches themselves and their buddies, Joe. It's time to step off that train a little bit.
It really is going to be interesting. We've got the election. We've got, you talked about COVID and the government just deciding, well, we're just going to spend at COVID levels. And how high are the deficits going to be? I really, I hate to say it, I think we're going to see multiple downgrades, not only in U.S. debt, but debt across the world that is coming. And again, I think the fiat money system as we know it, it's winding down, right? It's late in the game there. You're going to see a big push in these gold markets. 800-951-0592. Jason and I are coming right back with the half-hour.